all you cool cats and kittens. How do I make this go away here? How's it going, guys? I am here. I'm showing you. I finally figured out some sort of technology. So I'm going to be showing you guys, just kind of talking through the slides that I had you all look at last week, and just kind of talking about that and the final project and any updates that I have for you. So without further ado, I guess let's begin here. So this current unit that we are on, that we just started, is Unit 7 already. We're almost done with the school year. We got the antebellum reforms, as most of you saw. Thank you to those who took the time to do those questions and answer them. I appreciate it. Although I would prefer boring you all with my lecture in class while you take notes. This is the best alternative I could think of. So just really quick, you guys, for the most part, did very well on your Unit 6 open responses about westward expansion and comparing that to sectionalism and tying that all in, all of that good stuff. Remember, sectionalism is extreme loyalism to one region or belief. And of course, in this case, in U.S. history, it's the North versus the South, free states versus slave states, right? So anyway, the antebellum era, I have some pictures here from Gone with the Wind. If you've ever seen it, it's a fabulous movie. Anyway, so this was the time period in American history right before the Civil War, as you guys can see there. From about 1820 to 1861, the outbreak of the Civil War, instead of addressing the actual problem at hand that America had, was all of our new territory that we acquired going to be a free or slave state, instead of addressing that directly, shocking, politicians and reformers danced around the subject and tried slapping a Band-Aid on society. And that's what the antebellum era was just a giant Band-Aid on society, right? So you got all these crazy people coming in trying to fix everything but the actual problem at hand. So they tried fixing religion, temperance, which is alcohol. They tried banning alcohol, which they were eventually successful in the early 1900s. They tried reforming education, mental health, prison reforms, women's rights, and abolitionism, of course. So they did briefly address the actual issue at hand, the whole slavery topic. But of course, they weren't successful because, spoiler alert, our next unit is the Civil War, a war fought directly over free states versus slave states, slavery, all of that terrible stuff. So anyway, without further ado, I'm not going to talk too much about everything here because, again, you guys did go through all of these slides and look at them yourself. But, we have the Second Great Awakening. People just preached outside for days on end, literal days on end. Let me hear a hallelujah, all that crazy stuff. So that's essentially what happened. Their idea, these religious reformers, they thought that they should try and fix society because they thought Jesus Christ was going to be coming back soon. Right? Any of you Bible followers, right? Jesus eventually makes a comeback, Judgment Day, all of that fun stuff. So they thought, well, society's kind of messed up right now. Let's fix it. So this whole antebellum era really started with the Second Great Awakening, with these religious folk. Yes, they were trying to spread the word of the Lord and all of that fun stuff. But they were also like, okay, well, there's a lot of other issues as well here. So anyway, look at that guy right there, Charles Finney, the father of modern revivalism. I don't really talk too much about him on this slide. I just purposely put his picture there because, seriously, look at him. He looks like he's seen some things in his day. And also, that's a stamp. Imagine getting mail with that stamp on it. Anyway, so aside from making fun of him, obviously there were people left out of this. Remember, people at this time in American society, and even still arguably in today's society, Americans weren't really huge fans of foreigners, right? So we got Catholicism, who was left out. And very briefly, I'm just mentioning this here. Most of the people who were coming to the United States that were Catholic were Irish and Germans. And those two groups of people have been notoriously left out in American society for a whole long time, especially once you get into the 20th century with World War I and II. So anyway, they were left out. And transcendentalists, really quick, those were like hippies of the 1800s. All right. Think tree huggers, right? So like peace and love, they thought that going into nature would clear your mind, man, and not, going to school or working in a factory. So anyway, they were hippies. Whatever. Temperance. Yes. They wanted to ban alcohol, all that fun stuff. Again, the people stereotyped for drinking too much during this time. Again, America and their hatred of foreigners. The Irish and the German, still to this day, are stereotyped for being heavy drinkers. So America at this time thought, if we ban drinking, we'll also ban the undesirables, the Irish and the Germans, from society as well. Again, they wanted to fix society, right? Keep America American, right? As terrible as that actually is. Anyway, so this political cartoon, I mean, it's not comical because it's domestic violence, but this was kind of like, look what happens if you allow your husband to drink, he'll come home and beat the wife. So anyway, you can kind of see, right, it's extreme. This doesn't happen every time anyone drinks alcohol, by the way. But they were just trying to be extreme and prove a point. This is propaganda at its finest, right? We already talked about her, education reforms, blah, 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 whatever. Whatever, mental health, crazy stuff happening. I don't know actually if I got that far. Where did I stop with you guys? What day is it? Oh, we didn't get to mental health yet. So then last but not least, yikes. Last but not least, we got the education reforms. Again, before this time, if it ever loads, before this time, only the rich kids got education. And so this picture here is kind of comical. If you were the class clown during this time, if you were that annoying student, you were forced to put on a cone hat, as you can see in that picture there. And it said dunce on it. Dunce means stupid. So education in the early 1800s was truly inspirational. But anyway, if you were not from a rich white family, you were not getting education at all. So even if you were a little Timmy here, you were working in a coal mine if your parents couldn't afford an education. Well, by the 1840s, we got this dude with an extremely large forehead, Horace Mann, coming in and saying everybody deserves an education, which is true. And obviously we still follow this to this day. There are a few schools named after Horace Mann. Again, the dude right there with the incredibly large forehead. He's from Massachusetts. A lot of this happened in Massachusetts. Despite what you guys may think, a lot of important things happen in that state, in that commonwealth, if you will. So anyway, Horace Mann thought if education was more available for everybody, poverty would decrease. Because the idea with that is the more education that someone has, the better high-paying job that they could get, right? So think about it, right? You make more money as a doctor or a lawyer than you would as someone like an auto technician, right? Which granted, today we now learn, of course, that like they make just as much money and you don't have to go through student loans, but I digress from that rant. But anyway, that was his issue, right? Poverty is obviously a huge issue that's plaguing society even still to this day in 2020. So Horace Mann had this idea back in the 1800s, let's fix it by giving everyone access to education, which despite what some of you may think, education is actually a wonderful thing and it is the key to success for a lot of things. Moving forward, I digress on that now with my giant rant on that. We move over to your quarter 3 final project here. If you haven't looked at this yet, I highly suggest you do. This is your rubric for your quarter 3 project. Yes, we are still going forward with having a quarter 3 final project. All right, this will count as a quarter final grade. So 20% of your overall grade for quarter 3 is this project right here, the exact same format as our Black History Month project. All right, so I have a list of topics that you can pick there. This is from our most recent unit, Unit 6, Westward Expansion. All right, so you will pick one of those topics there. Notice how there are 2 with a little star next to them, the Trail of Tears and the Donner Party. I have stars next to those because I would like you to ask me permission first before you go ahead and do it, just because those are more sensitive topics. Trail of Tears, of course, is the genocide of Native Americans, mostly done under Andrew Jackson's presidency. And the Donner Party, I had y'all read about that 2 weeks ago on how they resorted to cannibalism to survive. As fun as a topic as that is, it's still a little graphic, and so I want to make sure that you guys know exactly what you're getting into. So if you are planning on doing those, let me know first, just so I can kind of brace myself and see where you're going. If you do not do those appropriately, though, just know that it will count against you. And again, just like our Black History Month project, you pick one of these project options here. and you go through it. You pick one of those. Everyone has a writing piece, so no matter what when you do, I understand not all of you have access to supplies. I know some of you did some phenomenal paintings or posters for the Black History Month project, and I understand if you don't have those supplies, please note that there are options for you, completely online options. And if you have any further questions about them, of course, email me. And here's a rubric and how you're being graded. Originally, I told you all that this was going to be due on Wednesday, April 8th, aka 2 days from now. I have extended this until this Friday, April 10th. All right, so this project will be due by this Friday, April 10th at 10 p.m. There's already a submission box on the Google Classroom for you guys. There will be no other assignments this week for you, no new notes or anything. That'll happen next week. I want you all to focus on this project because, again, if you don't do it, this is 20% of your overall grade and it will affect you negatively. So make sure that you do it. Again, if you have any issues with technology or with getting supplies, I can help you. If you're not available for my office hours from 11 to noon every day, I will try my best to stay by my phone and email any question and help you out if you email me. But I can't help you if you don't reach out. All right. So that's how it goes. It's a two-way street. I know this is a strange time for us, but this is week 3 of us in quarantine. And, I'm hoping that y'all are kind of getting the feel for how this is going and your expectations are still pretty much the same as they were had we been in school. So anyway, I enjoyed talking my ear off to you guys. Hope you enjoyed this. Again, if you have any questions, of course, feel free to contact me. Until then, stay safe. Pay attention to social distancing. This is no joke. Make sure you do your schoolwork, but also take care of yourselves mentally and physically. All right, guys? That's most important. I miss you all so much, and I hope to see you guys soon. All right? Take care.